So now we are going to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is oxytocin. So oxytocin is a hormone that your brain makes. And one of the super cool things about oxytocin, I'm sure maybe many of you have heard of oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone that's released when you hug or kiss someone, when you pet your animal, when you, when you breastfeed. Oxytocin is what bonds the mother and the baby, even to start labor. Pitocin is a drug that's usually given to induce labor, and it's full of oxytocin. So oxytocin is a really important hormone for women. It's also, thought of as the love hormone. When you first fall in love with somebody, your brain is flooded with oxytocin. Oxytocin is made when you have an orgasm. So oxytocin is like this amazing, happy, feel good type of hormone that your body readily has, access to, as long as you know how to use it. So I'm going to tell you, which is so exciting. I learned this in nutrition school, and I wish that someone had told me this earlier, because it would have saved me years and years of having chronic adrenal fatigue. But basically, there's a hierarchy of hormones in your body, which means that your body doesn't make all the hormones at the same time. Your body will pick and choose what to make, and it has its top three, and it'll use all the building blocks of the food and nutrients that you give it throughout the day to make these hormones, and to make the top three. And then if it has extra building blocks left over, then it's going to trickle down the list and it's going to make some of the other ones. But first and foremost is oxytocin. Second one is insulin. And the third one is cortisol, which makes sense, right? Because your brain wants you to be able to connect with others, because we live tribally. Humans have always lived tribally together in communities. We're not individual animals that are on our own. And so it's really important that we use our connections, our village, our tribe, our family to support each other. It aids in our survival. So that's why, and obviously procreation is something that is first and foremost one of the most important things to our body biologically. So that's why we're wired for that as well too. Insulin is something that you use to break down your food. It's the key that unlocks your cells so that food can be stored in for energy, and food that had been stored can be let out to be used as energy. So that's super important, which is why it's number 2. And number 3 is cortisol, which is going to keep you alive in a fight or flight type of situation. But the good news is that when your body is using the building blocks to make oxytocin, it's actually not using it to make insulin, which is going to jack up your blood sugar and cause all sorts of health problems. And also cortisol. So it's a way to naturally lower your cortisol levels, which will naturally make you feel happier and better and calmer, which is the goal of resetting our stress management skills this week, is just to feel calmer. So one of the best ways, I think I've already all shown you this, that I love to build up my oxytocin levels is through this. I hug myself. I take a deep breath. Sometimes I give myself a pat. Sometimes I give myself a rub. I want you all to do this right now. I want you all just to hug yourself. It feels so amazing. You can literally feel the oxytocin response. I can. I'm like instantly calmer. I don't know how you guys feel. You can bring your comments into our group this week and share. But it's such a game-changing thing that you can do anytime, anywhere. You can teach your kids to do it. You can teach your spouse to do it. You can do it, at a red light, which is my favorite place to do it, or when I'm writing my book, or if I'm in between clients and I'm like stressed for time, it's like the greatest gift ever. So understanding your biology and learning to work with it, you have a lot of power from that you can use for good in your life. So that's oxytocin. And try to think about ways this week that you can build your oxytocin. Sometimes it's even just cuddling with our kids, cuddling with a pet, cuddling with ourselves, back rubs, hand holding, all these like connection things that we do. It's really important, especially for our kids right now, because they don't get to be around their friends as much as they were before. And kids are pretty physical animals. Boys are wrestling and jumping. Girls are hugging and whispering and, kind of snuggled up together. And So our kids are all about connecting like that, and they're really losing that now. And so that's why you see a lot of depression and anxiety and a lot of things that the kids are struggling with. So think about it as a way to help your family, help yourself, help your relationship, help your marriage. It's all good. So let's see what we can do this week to focus on oxytocin as a natural stress reliever.